Fellow Sierra Leoneans, this na Dr. Sylvia Blyden, and today, January 26, 2022. This na my 52nd audio where we go call audio 052. And today, now one green issue I get for talk about to una tonight. It concerns Sambaya chiefdom in the Tonkolili district. Up front, make a very clear that I get a lot of friends them from Sambaya chiefdom, and even the family members of the late paramount chief Kulio Jallo. Na me people then, na me paddy them. When they be ready for petition, this honorable member of parliament, they may discuss some points there with me. So now an issue we are very much familiar with. So up front, make it clear that the Kulio Jallo family, I know them, I relate with them. And in fact, one of the sons of the late paramount chief, na somebody way na a protege where I so believe that when I'm in good New York last year for my nephew in wedding, when I remember when I'm in good, my nephew when we married, where they begin lie saying na Mother Buke me go United Nations meeting. When I'm in good, my nephew in wedding. Now the time where they together elections na Koinadugu. And the person when I am in trust for send 5 million leons for go meet Dr. Kaifala Mara and the other executives. Now I'm one of the sons, one of the younger sons of this late paramount chief, because he's one of my protege who I trust. I dey say this for me to understand, say, not a strange area to me. And the families them not a strange family then to me. And politically, that particular part of Sierra Leone, Sambaya chiefdom, na a key indicator. In fact, me na Sambaya chiefdom make a first no say Julius Maada Bio they win the next elections if APC not buckle up. Because Sambaya chiefdom is inside Tonkolili, but now an indicator of the strength of the SAPP at various times for who they study politics. So it is a critical area. But furthermore, what it make it very important that area then an area where the government and the people of Sierra Leone for pay close attention to. It's because this na the part of Sierra Leone where the Timini people them and the Karanko people them, they meet. This is where there is an interloping of the Timini and the Karankos. And it's a sensitive situation because what they even happen, so right now as I talk to now, there is a serious crisis where the Konike people, the Timini people them from Tonkolili, and the Karanko people from Nieni, there is a crisis between those two people where they happen right now. For several months, it don't happen. Now a low-grade civil war, now that area, they happen. And it is serious. So there is a potential in that area there. Outside the Timinis of Konike and the Karankos, it's a situation where could be a potential hotspot. So not an area where any government for joke with, not an area where any politician for play cheap politics with. Now a very sensitive political indicator area. I follow the politics of that area very closely. And I know say na an area where if it is not managed properly with sensitivity by the government and the opposition, it could set up into something that we would not like to see. Already, the area is a controversial area where there is conflict between the Konike, Timinis, and the Karankors of Leone chiefdom. So please, I dey talk tonight about an issue where very, very sensitive, with the potential for create problem in this country if it is not handled properly. Please, I dey appeal to people them. Make we not play cheap politics with Sambaya chiefdom. Make we not inflame a situation that is already volatile. The records then did the paramount chief of Leone, where we call the Kalean area, he don't write a very bitter letter few weeks ago where he complained again for another time, because this paramount chief PC Jallo don't complain several times for the Jallo. He complain again about an attack on in people them, and this time on the pregnant wife of one of in local chiefs them. It is a sensitive, volatile area. Not an area where for play cheap politics with. Whether you be SLPP or you be APC, this is an area, a part of Sierra Leone, we need very, very matured and sensible leadership for manager. Now, waiting at the core issue. The issue here is simple, and there is so much misconception that is out there. So much misinformation that is out there. And today in particular, a piece come out on Twitter which they share all over social media. Outside the National Electoral Commissioner, the Chief Electoral Commissioner, Mr. Mohammed Kone, he may get for go make some very, very unfortunate comments where he reply to an APC lawyer when a lawyer Adi Macaulay. And both lawyer Adi Macaulay and the reply from the NEC Chief Commissioner, both of them get wrong information, and the wrong information the way they get the potential for inflame a situation that does not need to be inflamed. That area of Sierra Leone is a sensitive area. And it most unfortunate for the Chief Electoral Commissioner for use a certain term where he used today, where he reply to Adi Macaulay in Sesefion misinformation where he put out. But before I go further, for una we legally minded, I want una for reference the following areas when at them we can talk about on this issue. I want una for reference the Sierra Leone Constitution, Section 76 1F. I repeat, Section 76 1F. And the second area of the Constitution, where I want to for reference, now Section 77F. These are the areas that the Sierra Leone Constitution where they can discuss. In addition to the Constitution, also they can discuss the Chieftaincy Act of 2009. This na the act where women pass na Sierra Leone in the year 2009 for govern issues of paramount chieftaincies. And the sections them we dey discuss tonight na the following sections. We're going to look at section 15, section 16, and most importantly for this discussion tonight, we're going to look at section 17. I repeat, the most important section we can discuss tonight is section 17 of the Chieftaincy Act of 2009. Now, my people, they make a come straight to the issues. First of all, what in the Constitution say? The Constitution say nobody will ever qualify for contest na any constituency for being member of parliament for that constituency day if you na paramount chief. This na so section 76(1)(f) say. It say you not qualify at all if you na paramount chief. You not get no right for go contest for be constituency member of parliament. It say if you na speaker, you get right, you can go contest. If you na local court chairman, you get right, you can go contest. If you na chiefdom councillor, you get right, you can go contest for being member of parliament. Nothing will stop you. So chiefdom speaker, court chairman, chiefdom councillor, the Constitution give you permission. If you want for contest for being member of parliament, nobody will stop you. However, if you na paramount chief, the Constitution is so strict on that. You can never be a paramount chief and contest for be a constituency member of parliament. All the paramount chief them where they go na parliament, na den comping paramount chief na den district, na den they come and elect them or select them or choose them for go represent them as a paramount chief member of parliament. No paramount chief can go na parliament as a constituency member of parliament. Secondly, for section 76(1)(f). Secondly, for show you how the Constitution they frown on any paramount chief they associate, they could get connection with a constituency member of parliament. Section 77(f) say, if they don't elect you as a member of parliament for a constituency, then don't elect you. You don't go be a constituency member of parliament. You they represent a constituency. And then you go become a paramount chief under any law. You they automatically vacate your seat in parliament. I repeat, and I want you to listen this one carefully. Section 77(f) of the Sierra Leone Constitution say, if they don't elect you as a constituency member of parliament, then when you sit down now as a constituency member of parliament, you go become a paramount chief under the law. You vacate your seat immediately. Now the emphasis here for this section is say you for become a paramount chief. I repeat. The Constitution say you dey only vacate your seat after you don't become a paramount chief. The words are very important to note. You dey only vacate your seat after you don't become a paramount chief. So, this they bring me now to the next point. How person they become a paramount chief? Because now the Constitution, now where they look, and the words of the Constitution is very clear. You they only vacate your seat after you become a paramount chief. Now the exact words in that. And not say after you are elected to become a paramount chief. He say after you have become a paramount chief. So if you not become a paramount chief yet, you cannot lose your seat. You dey only lose the seat when you become a paramount chief. So now let me go to how person they become a paramount chief. Una remember, tell una say we get for can look the Chieftaincy Act. Well, this now the act where they provide for the qualification, the elections, the powers, the functions of paramount chief and all matters connected with chieftaincy in the Republic of Sierra Leone. Now, tell una say the section when I will get for can pay close attention to section 17. But before we reach section 17, let's look section 15 and 16. Section 15 say that just like a presidential elections, you forget 55% or more at the first rounds. If you not get them, you get for go second rounds. And when you go second round, just like a presidential elections, na simple majority. So, the gentleman now in question, when are the elected member of parliament for Sambaya Bendugu, when a constituency 056, Honorable Musa Jallo. Indeed, he contested elections. And indeed, he obtained more than 55% of the votes that were then cast when he contested the elections. Now let's go to section 16. Section 16 say, after they don't elect, the people they don't elect would have be the new paramount chief. All my way vote now the elections when a chiefdom councillor then for sign a document we then call the attestation document. After they don't sign the attestation document, paramount chief them from nearby we then call assessor paramount chiefs. Then say for come they endorse. After they endorse, the provincial secretary for that province day, if for come, he endorse. Now, if they not endorse that election day, the person not to paramount chief yet. So you go win election, you get more than 55%, everything fine, but you are not the paramount chief because you not become the paramount chief yet. Now, after they don't do this attestation, the provincial secretary, the assessor chiefs, and the chiefdom councillors, then they go a further stage now to the next stage when they can talk about than in a section 17 stage. Section 17 say nobody where they elect, and now listen carefully. Nobody where they elect as paramount chief no go become a paramount chief until that person day is recognized That is what section 17 they say. So then he elects you, you will get 90% of the vote safe. But to God, if you not follow section 17, when at the recognition, you can never become the paramount chief. Now, waiting at the recognition. That attestation document where the chiefdom councillor then sign, the provincial secretary for sign, and the other paramount chiefs then from nearby that chiefdom they for sign, then for take them and forward them to the government, and the government for accept that joint report of the provincial secretary and the electoral commission, and then the government, they now do the recognition of the paramount chief in election. So section 17, when at the critical side, and this whole process of becoming a paramount chief, now nobody know they talk about. Everybody just to talk about section 15, the election of the paramount chief. Yes, the law said that he elect you. Yes, but if the government not recognize that election day, you can never become a paramount chief. This is the law of the land. And it is only when the government recognize the election and they go further for say, how does the recognition take place? Section 70 says, at the quote, at the reader inside English, it says, the recognition of the election of a paramount chief takes place after the government has, on the recommendation of the minister, accepted the joint report of the provincial secretary and the electoral commission on the conduct of the election, and such recognition shall be by A, the presentation of the staff of office by the president to the paramount chief. B, the publication of the election in the Gazette. Now, only at this point, the election of the paramount chief is recognized and he becomes the paramount chief. So now, let's go now to Sambaya Bendugu. What thing they happen there? Let me try to understand. The member of parliament, where they may elect for represent that constituency there, when a constituency 056, and that constituency they made up of that chiefdom there, that member of parliament, Honorable Musa Jallo, they can call him Musa Bendugu, he has not yet become the paramount chief. His election has not been recognized by the government. So he has not become the paramount chief. Until his election is recognized by the government, until the attestation of the chiefdom council and the attestation of the neighboring paramount chiefs and the provincial secretary is endorsed by the Minister of Local Government, can the president recognize and hand over the staff? So, outside this confusion all day now, situation where people then believe, say, the election is where you become paramount chief. As they elect you, so you're not the paramount chief. No. And make I use this opportunity to explain to una further why certain positions get for go through this attestation and confirmation before you can become the holder of that position there. The reason why this they happen is because in sensitive traditional positions them, you don't want a situation where as once we say at once it happens, as we elect, so automatically you take up office, you begin operate. Because these are traditional and cultural positions. Now for that make, even if they elect you, even if you get 90% upon the elections, if the neighboring paramount chiefs, then where they call the assessor chiefs, they not sign for attest. If the chiefdom council of them, they not sign for attest, you are not going to become the paramount chief. Because there are cultural and traditional issues that can stop you and create a stumbling block. So that is the reason why they get all them steps here. After election, even after the you cannot become the paramount chief. It just sounds like them French countries, them now West Africa. They're not like a winner saloon. Sierra Leone, when you will go for elect with president, as it gets in 55% so, when you see the chief electoral commissioner pronounce him, say duly elected president of Sierra Leone is Mr. X, Y, and Z. Or by God in power, the 10 way, if God bless me, I go turn president of Sierra Leone. And so then go read out, say the duly elected president of Sierra Leone, na Dr. Sylvia Blyden. As them pronounce that pronouncement, they so that person automatically liable for be sworn into office. No more procedure. Just the pronouncement. Immediately, the person is the president of Sierra Leone. In French country, them, it's different. In French country, them, when they don't elect you, they don't pronounce you the elected person with the highest number of votes, then still they go for further attestation from what they call the constitutional court. And that court they can look and overturn election. So you might win, get the votes, but you are not yet the president in the French-speaking countries until the topmost court provide an attestation, say yes, what happened, correct, and this man fit for be the next president. In Sierra Leone, as soon as they declare, the person are the president. In French-speaking countries, no way. You careful be go through attestation, even after they don't elect you. Now the same way in Sierra Leone with paramount chiefs. Even after they don't elect you, you are not going to become the paramount chief until the assessor chiefs, until the chiefdom council, they all sign a document. And that document is endorsed by the government. Then the government, they go to that section 17 stage for recognize the election. Now, only at that point, you become the paramount chief. So now, what did happen at Sambaya Bendugu in Tongolele district? We'll come to that now. Because you get a lot of people there where they say that there is a vacancy, that Musa Bendugu, the honorable member of parliament for constituency 56, they say he's no longer the member of parliament because he contests elections. I submit that is so totally wrong. Somebody go contest elections, not mean to say the person no longer a member of parliament. No. Initially, when I was working with the Kulio Jallo family, Mimi the talk say, if somebody already a member of parliament, na part of government. So how part of government go contest for be member, for be paramount chief? But people then way sabi the law, they allow them, then say for contest. Nobody not complain. So myself, I not get sense past everybody. So when they say the man for contest, so the man contest, nobody not oppose, say the man not for contest. I mean, the big lawyers, they not oppose. There was an attempt for petition on corruption charges. There was an attempt for petition on other issues. But as far as whether he can contest, Nobody not really know. All these lawyers, the way they see the talk now, they were not there. I remember I was the first person who flagged the issue for the Kulio Jallow family, the former paramount chief in family. I flagged the issue na Twitter, I flagged the issue na Facebook, I flagged the issue na WhatsApp. All them lawyers, yeah, nobody not talk that day. So the man contest. Now he don't contest, but he now become the paramount chief yet. And until he becomes the paramount chief, he cannot lose his seat in parliament. He is still the elected member of parliament. Because the law, the constitution say, he will lose his seat in parliament when he becomes the paramount chief. But has he become the paramount chief? Has his election been recognized? No. And a day the National Electoral Commissioner go create problem today. Because the man go on social media and he go describe the paramount chief as an elected paramount chief. So that gives the impression to people, say the man has been elected. And that because the man has been elected, his election has been recognized. But no, it is not true. He has not become the paramount chief yet, because his election has not been recognized under Section 17 of the Chieftaincy Act. And for as long as his election has not been recognized, he has not become the paramount chief. And if he has not become the paramount chief, under Section 77F of the Sierra Leone Constitution, he is still the member of parliament. So all those people saying that Honorable Musa Jallow is no longer a member of parliament, you are wrong. There is no legal basis for saying that he is not the member of parliament. He is the member of parliament for constituency 56. Until such time as his election is recognized by the government, he is not the paramount chief. So trying to railroad him to leave the parliamentary seat is wrong. And in the same vein, this chief electoral commissioner, he needs to be properly guided, because he needs to know the weight of his words. For him to go today on social media and refer to the paramount chief as elected paramount chief, it is wrong, because the election has not been recognized under Section 17 of the Chieftaincy Act. So for you as Chief Electoral Commissioner for be so insensitive, for the go on social media, you probably meant well, yes. But how many people then understand the issues? You go on social media now, you go talk, say the elected paramount chief has not yet received the staff. They don't understand, say there are other procedures after elections that should be followed. The assessor chiefs, the chiefdom council, the provincial secretary, and then the minister, and then the president. These are all stages of recognition that have not been followed. So it was wrong for you for going on social media, Mr. Chief Electoral Commissioner, and reply to Adi Macaulay, say the elected paramount chief. Because the election of the paramount chief has not been recognized. So you may suppose for know the word way they use. Because Mr. Chief Electoral Commissioner, your words them get weight in this country. So you have to be very guarded in the words the way they use. Today, I hope say I don't help for alleviate this situation. For people then for understand that the Honorable Musa Jallow, for as long as he has not had his election recognized, he is not the paramount chief. He has not yet become the paramount chief. And for as long as he has not become the paramount chief, he is still the duly elected member of parliament. So there is still a vacancy in the paramount chieftaincy of Sambaya Bendugu. Sambaya Bendugu no paramount chief right now. None at all. Because when Musa Jallow win that election on that day, The election was petitioned by the Kulio Jallow family. And when they petitioned the election, the court immediately put an injunction. Say nobody not for declare this man elected. Nobody not for follow the proceedings for give this man recognition of his election. So for as long as Section 17 of the Chieftaincy Act has not yet been followed, for as long as there is a petition that has stopped Section 17 from being followed, the Honorable Musa Jallow has not become the paramount chief. And if he has not become the paramount chief, for God's sake, he is still the member of parliament. Let we therefore play cheap politics with a very volatile area. Under the law, Honorable Musa Jallow is still the member of parliament for constituency 56. Ladies and gentlemen, my people of Sambaya Bendugu, your member of parliament is Honorable Musa Jallow still. And Honorable Musa Jallow is not your member of parliament, is not your paramount chief. I repeat, Honorable Musa Jallow is your member of parliament under the law. But Honorable Musa Jallow is not your paramount chief of Sambaya Chiefdom. He is absolutely not the paramount chief of Sambaya Chiefdom. And this is a fact. He is the member of parliament, elected member of parliament, but he is not the paramount chief of Sambaya Bendugu. And this is a very sensitive issue where Honorable Musa Jallow himself, if he understands the ramifications of the sensitivity of that area there, if he knows how volatile the area is, and if he really love in people them, now him for take the lead for telling people then say, I am not your paramount chief. My election has not been recognized. I have not become your paramount chief. I am not your paramount chief. I am just your member of parliament. Ladies and gentlemen, if I don't reach this part of this broadcast, I don't take me time for talk about this Sambaya Bendugu issue, that because I know it's a very sensitive issue and the legal points around this issue needed to be clarified tonight. Section 17 of the Chieftaincy Act speaks for itself. Section 77K of the Constitution of Sierra Leone speaks for itself. Honorable Musa Jallow is the member of parliament, but he is not the paramount chief of Sambaya Bendugu. At this point, I will end tonight's broadcast, as I can always do, by playing the national anthem. And the reason why I can play the tune of the national anthem is because I can want, as the tune they play, make we they reflect with minds on the words then we can they sing when we they sing about the land that we love, our Sierra Leone. Let God bless we all. Amen.